more often than not. And it's really not that friendly either. Because really what happens is sometimes the sellers will kick something in. Sometimes we go to you guys as the buyers and you guys go no. And then we go back to the bank or the investor or the MI company and tell them no. And sometimes they will agree to negotiate. Or sometimes they'll just say, all right, deal's dead. So now you're either stuck paying this thing or you walk away after you spent the last 3 months trying to find the place that you thought was going to be your little dream place. Okay? So, you guys were smiling. Now all of a sudden you guys are thinking this.
So,
all right.
So was the original list price determined by the first lender and the seller?
No. You want to take a shot at it, or?
List price is what the seller and their agent decide to put it on the market for.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the reality. That's why you need to have an understanding of value when you look at a price. If it's too low to be true, and it's probably not going to work out because of all the steps that the bank takes to look out for their, their investment.
Yeah. And 5 years ago, we used to get a lot more deals done because the banks weren't as sophisticated, or maybe not sophisticated anymore, but they were taking deals. And they were saying, okay, they didn't really understand how to value things. Now they're really pushing back. And now they're saying, if that one over there, that's not a short sale, can sell for 150, why can't this one? And they've really stepped it up to the point where I think they feel like there is no harm to them in it being a short sale, and they should get every penny out of the deal that any other seller who'd be negotiating would. But to further answer the question, as far as the list price, I used to tell agents, start at whatever the market is, and just keep dropping the price until you get to a price where it's going to sell and there's some activity, and then try to get a contract in. I stopped that and started telling agents, figure out what you think it's going to sell for, put it on right there, and then start dropping. But be prepared to tell the buyers and buyers agents when they come in, look, banks are probably going to want the 150. You can come in at 100, but you may wind up at 145 when all is said and done. Okay, so there's no rhyme or reason. You can't look at the listing. I will tell you, most real estate agents don't know this. They don't understand what goes on here. Most of them aren't involved in the short sale, and if they are, it's only periphery, so they probably don't understand all the different steps. So a lot of them, correct me if I'm wrong, Bert, just want to take the listing and they want to put it up there and do as little work as possible and hope that it sells, and then dump it off on somebody else to do the negotiating, and then they can kind of wipe their hands of it and say, well, we got it sold, I can't control what the bank does. Okay? So you have to really look at what the fair market value is going to be, one, and then determine, again, back to the beginning, is it worth my time? Is it worth 3 to 6 months waiting, kind of not knowing, kind of having this annoying negotiation to see if, in fact, I can get this place? And if there's other stuff out there, that's certainly something to consider.
Now, you used to, we have to put down earnest money. Does that, because this thing drags out, does that affect, like, let's say we say, okay, after 3 months, I'm going to back out of this. They keep adding way too much money on or whatever. I want to back out. Do I get my earnest money back and I'm done, clear and free? And
In most cases, yes. The way the contracts are written now, and the short sale riders, and then what attorneys do in attorney approval, we usually put a time frame on there. Okay, it used to be 90 days on a lot of deals. I'm trying to push them to 120 days. If we don't get approval within a certain time from the banks, and that's physical, written approval with all those steps I was talking about done, or if we don't get a close within a certain time, you have the right to walk away and get all your money back.
okay.
And then, of course, even if we get through the entire approval process, you're still going to have your mortgage contingency in place. And what I'll tell you right now is, I don't have a problem getting the short sale approval, for the most part, all right? Sometimes we have an issue with value, and I'll tell you a story in a minute on that. But for the most part, once we get through the process, we are really able to get the banks to approve these deals. Right? Not everyone's happy, of course, but we can get to that point. What's happening now is, since it's taking so long, we're having buyers walk, or worse, the buyer still wants to buy the place, but their lender won't approve the loan. Because the lender doesn't start doing any of their due diligence until we get the short sale approval. They have a problem with the appraisal, or there's a problem with the building, there's a litigation in the building, there's a special assessment coming, there's all kinds of things that we would try to deal with up front, but we either don't or we can't because of the delay period.
I want to point out that what you're raising are lending issues for a buyer, particularly in a condo, what he was raising.
Right.
So, you know, you want to make sure that before you make an offer on a short sale, that your financing will actually happen with that property you want to make an offer on. If you're getting an FHA mortgage, you got to make sure that that property is meeting all the FHA requirements, okay? Because in a short sale, if FHA, the appraisal comes back with a list of things that need to be done in order to approve the property to close, and the seller says, I'm not going to do it, well, your choice is either you do it before closing, because the appraiser has to come back and verify it's done, or you can't get the loan. And I was going to say that on a short sale, if you're seriously considering a short sale, your chances of a successful short sale go up if there's only one mortgage. Is that correct, John?
Correct.
Yes.
Well, you eliminate several.
It's the second mortgage companies that are creating more problems because they are only getting maybe $3,000, and maybe there was a $50,000 second mortgage on it. They're getting $3,000. They're going to say, we're not going to accept that.
So if you have a home equity line with your first mortgage, there's your second mortgage,
Yes.
and that's what they say.
Correct.
Yes.
That's where the problems have really come into play. And I will tell you, most of the first lenders can be reasonable when I have a nice little discussion with them. Second lenders are completely irrational. And a lot of times when I sit down with people on short sales, the first thing I tell them is, whatever sense of normalcy that you have, any belief that you have about how things are supposed to work, throw it out the window. Because there's no common sense here. No rhyme or reason for what the banks do. And if there is, we don't understand it. So, and especially on the second lenders. Which leads me to a real quick story that I think will kind of help explain where the banks are on this stuff, or where they're not on this stuff, as you might come to the conclusion at the end of this. Earlier this year, we had a client who was selling a condo. Okay, it was up in Rogers Park. We actually got an offer of $120,000. We thought that was a fantastic offer. The real estate agent, the listing agent that I do a lot of work with, is kind of the queen of Rogers Park. She's been up there for 25 years. She knows like the back of her hand. She knows what things are worth. She said when we got the contract, there's no way this will appraise out for the buyer. We're really concerned. $120,000 is way too high for this area, but it's a beautiful place, and we got this offer. So we're like, fantastic. Short sale will be slam dunk, right? No problem. We get all the paperwork together, submit everything to the bank. They do the BPO. 6 weeks later, we get the response from the negotiator. All right, we did everything, and we need $135,000 for the purchase price.